Hello and welcome to the Providence College Podcast. I'm Liz Kay. This week, get reacquainted with the chaplains of the Providence College National Alumni Association through this virtual event. Meet Reverend Joseph Barranger, who was appointed Alumni Chaplain this year. Some PC grads may recognize Father Barringer, who served as College Chaplain from 1993 to 2000, as well as Associate Alumni Chaplains Father Stuart McPhail and Father James Quigley. They're joined by two members of the class of 1998, Father James Cuddy, PC's Vice President for Mission and Ministry, and Joe Giovengo, a member of the National Alumni Association Council.
Thanks, Sarah, and thanks everybody who's taking the time to participate in this webinar tonight. I had a chance to go through the names earlier. We get some Providence College legends here, and it's really exciting to connect with you, if only virtually. I'm really happy too to welcome my old friend Joe Giovengo back here, and I'm grateful for his the work that he'll do tonight to facilitate this conversation. I think a chill ran down Joe Giovengo's spine when he saw that he'd be interviewing Father McPhail tonight, because when we were students together, that was right in the heyday of Father McPhail's vice presidency, and he was in charge of student services. And I think there was a time when he showed mercy. Joe was going to get kicked out of school, and he was terrified of Father McPhail. But he showed mercy, and Joe turned out okay, and here we are tonight, all together friends. I'm really, really excited for the work of the alumni chaplaincy. We talk about legends on this call, some real legends who have served the alumni community throughout the years. Sarah, you mentioned Father John Peterson, who is synonymous with alumni chaplaincy and spent really so much of his life up until right until he went to glory, trying to minister to all of the members of the Providence College community, especially in times of struggle, distress, and really a complete legend. And the legend only grew with the addition of Father McPhail and Father Quigley to assist in that work and to put their own spin on the work, and to be able to share reflections with the college community in writing. Father Quigley's popular homilies and video series that he's been able to provide as a gift to the community during Advent and Lent, and so the alumni tradition, the alumni chaplaincy tradition, has carried on really in a beautiful way. And I'm very excited as one who's got a great love for Providence College and more than a passing interest in the mission and ministry. Very happy to welcome Father Barringer into his new role now, to complement the great work that Father Quigley and Father McPhail have been doing and will continue to do. Because Sarah, your background says very clearly, forever a friar. We recognize that membership in this wonderful community, which has meant so much to us and has changed all of our lives, that membership in that family doesn't end with that walk across the stage at commencement, but it's a part of us. And what a great thing to be able to reconnect, during times of joy, times of struggle, to know that support will always be there, to try to grow closer and closer to the Lord, no matter what life circumstances may bring us. The fact that we're able to continue that family atmosphere and stay connected to one another, and to celebrate those wonderful times together, and to mourn together, and to be friends and companions on the same journey for all the times in between, is a very exciting prospect. And so I'm overjoyed to be here, and happy for and grateful for all of the good work that Father Quigley and Father McPhail have done, and I'm very excited to welcome a great friend to so many of us, and a mentor and an inspiration, and great priest to so many of us who went through PC during the years when he was chaplain. There's great things ahead with Father Barringer, Father Quigley, Father McPhail, and I think there's really an opportunity here for so many members of the Providence College community to continue to be involved, to get even more involved, with that Catholic and Dominican mission identity. And I couldn't be more excited and more grateful to be with all of you tonight. So thanks very much, Sarah.
Thanks, Father Cuddy. I'm really happy and excited to have you all here tonight, and I'm really excited for what's to come for the future of our alumni chaplaincy program. Father Cuddy, before I turn it over to Joe, can you tell us where you are right now?
Yeah, I realized that when I hit mute, that might have been a little bit weird as I looked down and saw my picture in front of barbed wire. Yeah, Sarah mentioned I'm a chaplain in the Navy Reserves. I'm attached to a Marine battalion, and this is a drill weekend. So I'm down right now in Garden City, New York. It's our battalion headquarters, and we'll be heading off after this call to Quantico, Virginia, and make a couple stops in between to visit all the Marines in our battalion. So.
Awesome. Well, we're going to have you stay on, but Father Quigley and Father McPhail will be back in a little bit to answer some questions a little later in our program. And now, Joe, I turn it over to you.
Thank you, Sarah. Thanks for having me this evening, and great to see a fellow classmate and Father Cuddy, one of the great graduates, alumni of Guzman Hall. So Father B, it's great to see you.
Good to see you, Joe, even though I actually can't see you on the screen, but it's good to hear your voice. And also I looked at the list of participants tonight and lots of names I know. Yeah, talk about ringing a bell. It's great to see so many people participating tonight.
I know a lot are happy that you're back, and they were so excited to see the news come through their emails and on social media. So many happy memories from Providence College involve you, whether it's from students, alumni, or staff. So we are all excited you're back home at PC. It was a while that you were called to serve outside of Providence College. And can you just bring us up to speed on where you were and what you were doing and all that?
Sure. I think Sarah did a great job of talking about some of the places where I've been. Leaving here, Providence College was at the time really difficult for me because I was so really involved and invested in the life of students and the life of the college. Truly, I loved it so much. And when I was called to do other things in our Dominican province of St. Joseph, at first it was kind of a challenge. And at first I was elected prior of our Priory and Retreat Center in Dover, Massachusetts, and was there for a couple of years running that retreat house. Then was elected prior of our seminary, the Dominican House of Studies in Washington, D.C., was there for 6 years serving our student brothers in their education and formation to be future Dominican priests. Father Cuddy was one of them. So we went from him being a student here and my being chaplain to my being prior of the seminary while he was a seminarian. So it's been an interesting journey, let's say, for both of us. After that, I did some missionary work. I was a missionary pastor in Mexico, in Baja. Following that, prior of our priory and other priory in Washington, St. Dominic's. And then for the past 6 years, I've been pastor of our university parish at UVA, which is the largest parish in our Dominican province. It was the prior of the Dominican community there also. But the interesting thing about that is that in a very different sense than PC, but it's still a university environment. And the campus ministry for the University of Virginia was located in our parish of St. Thomas Aquinas. So I feel like I've continued to be in a university setting for a long time in one way or another. And now that I'm here at PC again, I feel like it's really coming home. It's kind of full circle and coming home again. So it's great.
Awesome. Great. Well, I'm sure you made a lot of special connections while you were away from PC, and we look forward to all the great relationships and connections that you'll be making with our alumni and the students on campus over the years. obviously we always speak about the family of Providence College and how those that are on campus feel it. And when you graduate, you realize how special Providence College was when you were there. Besides the people, what were some of the things you missed about being at PC and the campus?
Boy, that's so much. The students, of course. I mean, it sounds like such an obvious answer. But I got to say, I've been in campus ministry in different places. I mentioned the University of Virginia more recently, but also Rutgers University when I was a newly ordained priest. There's still nothing like PC students. And I mean that sincerely. It's just, there's a sense in which when it comes to students here on campus, undergraduate students, I never felt like I had to work very hard at making connections and feeling that this was a big family and that I was invited into the lives of students in very critical, as well as a lot of really fun ways at the time. So sometimes when you work with students at other places, you notice that it's not quite the same. It's you have to work harder to become involved in the lives of students, whereas the family atmosphere of PC, I think, lent itself to that so much, to that kind of engagement with students. And so it was something that I really missed a great deal when I left here. But that being said, I was able to keep in touch with so many students from those years in the 90s up until 2000 and beyond, sharing their lives, celebrating their weddings and baptizing their children, sometimes burying their parents. So a lot of those relationships have continued and have helped me not to miss PC so much because, as Father Cuddy said, those relationships didn't end when people walked across the stage and got their diploma.
Sure. Well, speaking about those that are about to walk across the stage, there's
Yikes.
a senior class that will be graduating shortly. It's a tough time for seniors. They're gonna be leaving Providence College. I'm sure some have a lot of anxiety over that. Hopefully, they'll realize how wonderful life is, in the real world, so to speak, but always knowing that they're close to Providence College. What kind of engagement can you share with them? What kind of resources are available to make that transition, leaving their spiritual family of Providence College and returning to where they might, come from? What's available to them to make that transition a little easier?
Well, I think that first of all, the knowledge that that your PC family is still here. It's so important to move on in some respects, in many respects. Not as somebody was saying recently, giving a talk to seniors, don't come back every weekend to see your friends. Not every weekend, not even every other weekend. That's not a good recipe for success. So there has to be a sense in which everything that seniors have learned here at Providence College, it's been formative. And so it stays with you. It's not something that you leave behind. And so you don't realize that. I think that a lot of our seniors won't realize that. Some of you alums may remember that was also the case for you. You didn't realize that, but you're always a friar, and you can see how your experiences, especially in your life of faith here at Providence College, really formed and shaped you. And so it's very important to live that, just to go out and to live what you have been formed to live here, what you've experienced here, what you've witnessed here, especially in your life of faith. And to know that you can always, the Office of Mission and Ministry, certainly the Office of the Chaplain, for undergraduates, but the Office of Alumni, the Alumni Chaplains are always a resource in helping you maybe to find a parish faith community if you find it difficult, to help you with difficult pastoral situations. If you find it difficult to find your parish priest or to talk to your parish priest at home, that we're here to help you pastorally as well. So it's important to remember that you have to live what you've learned here That's the message to our seniors, but also realize that we're still here for you. And as you know, as the alums know, there's a pretty highly developed alumni website, which I think is very good, and has some of those resources right there.
Great. I know I can speak personally. When I left Providence College and graduated, I felt like I left some of my spirituality on campus, because loved the homilies that all the Dominicans on campus gave, and there was such a connection with your classmates, being at Mass, especially your 10 p.m. last chance Mass on Sundays. And it was hard going home and feeling the same connection to the local parish, where things are kind of more broad and not so, inside of our spiritual family. So I'm happy to hear that those resources are available. Can you give us an example of where we might turn to on either the website, or some things you might recommend for those that are looking to reignite their spiritual connection with Providence College?
Sure. There's a link. Also on the Office of the Chaplain has a link to help seniors to locate parishes where they are moving. So if your senior is going home to where they grew up, that's one thing. They probably have a parish community or know of one. But if you're moving to a brand new area, you probably don't. And so there are links on the website to those. Inquiries can come in through the alumni office to the chaplains, and we're happy to help seniors and young alums to find a local parish community. But I also think it's really important to realize that it's not just PC, but your college faith experience is unique, because college is unique, and it's going to be really difficult, if not impossible, to exactly replicate that after you graduate, wherever you go, and you're really not supposed to. One of the things that we tried to teach people, encourage students when I was chaplain, is we wanted to prepare students to be active, participating members of their local parishes. And so when they get out and feel like they've left part of their spiritual lives here, as so many do, like you did, Joe, it's not uncommon at all. It's important to remember that that you have to be a part of building what is missing in your local parish. And hopefully you've acquired some of those skills here at Providence College to be able to do that.
I think that's great advice. Thank you. There's a lot of alumni on the call right now that have young families, and oftentimes we bring our families to campus and say this is where we lived, and give them the tour, or we'll take them to the Friar basketball games or other sports that are on campus. What do you envision in the future as ways to engage the alumni with young families, so that way they can start sharing the spiritual side of Providence College with them?
Well, I think a lot of that will be transmitted through bringing your family to campus. I know, Joe, you've got kids, and look down that list. Probably most everybody on this call has children, if not everyone. And to not just come back to reunion weekends and be with your friends and try to relive the glory days, so to speak. That's great to do, but there's more to it. You mentioned coming back to campus with your family, with children. I think that's so important to share with them that very, very important part of your lives, to take them into the chapel and say, and explain to them, kind of what your experience of that place at Mass was for 4 years. I mean, it can be a real catechetical moment for children, but a way to share a big part of your faith history with spouses and with children. And perhaps a lot of alums don't do that. Maybe don't bring their families to campus. I think another way is to involve families in the clubs, in the activities of the various clubs around the country. And hopefully, I'm new at this, right? So I don't know. I'm going to be learning from all of you, hearing from you what you need. It's not for me or any of the other alumni chaplains to kind of decide for you what it is that you need. But hopefully, if they don't exist already, family-friendly programming, alumni programming on the local level of the clubs, I think would be very important to look at what's going on there. And maybe a lot's going on there, but maybe in some places more could be happening. And so I'll look forward to hearing from you about so much of that.
Great. When it's safe to return to the regional club events, what kind of programming have you thought about to incorporate into the outreach with the alumni? And what kind of suggestions are you looking for?
Well, I mean, it's easier for me to ask the question, what kind of suggestions am I looking for? Again, I'm brand new. I know that certainly Father Quigley, along with Father McPhail, envisioned this spiritual life committee, developing that more and more. And, that was interrupted by COVID, making more progress in that. But I'm very interested in that aspect. And when we talk about a spiritual life committee, we're talking about a group of alums who will be in touch with local clubs to try to find out what those needs are. Again, I was saying this to Father Cuddy and Sarah the other day. When I was chaplain, I remember trying so many programs that I just thought were the greatest ideas in the world. This is really what students need. This is going to be awesome. And nobody would come, right? I learned really fast, don't do that. Find out what the needs are and then develop the programs accordingly. So I do foresee the possibility of days of recollection, for example. In other words, one-day retreats at local clubs or where more than one club can come together in one place for something like that. And so that would combine social and spiritual time. It would be more than just mass, other things as well. So I would foresee things like that. But I think that we really need to do a lot of listening and find out what it is that you all would like, because that's what we're here for, right?
Sure. And how do you envision that outreach? Do you, I know obviously it's a challenging time right now with COVID. Do you plan to go, when it's safe, to go on a listening tour? Is there going to be multiple touch points with the Office of Mission and Ministry?
Yes, both of those, Joe. That's a really great question, and thank you for giving me the answers to that question. I think that it's really important to travel around a bit and to visit the local clubs. I'm inspired a little bit to do that, Joe, because when I was prior of St. Dominic's Priory in Washington, D.C., it's downtown, and the Capitol Club used to meet there very often, and I would celebrate Mass, and then they would have a social and a lunch. And so I remember not only getting to know some alums there, but reconnecting with alums who I knew as students, like Greg Bernhardt, for example, was an alum who I reconnected with there and met his wife and his child. At the time, he just had a little boy. But there's nothing that really can replace that personal connection. I'm sure that I can't be everywhere and get everywhere, but certainly driving around and being physically present at various club events, I think is really going to be important. Important to also hearing on a one-to-one basis what it is that alums need.
Great. And you did answer this question a little bit, but just so to remind those that are on this call, what are some of the best ways to connect and reach out and start the dialogue with you and Father Quigley and Father McPhail?
Well, certainly right now, this is a way, right? And so there's going to be an opportunity for questions. Having webinars, having this sort of opportunity, not for me or the other alumni chaplains just to give information, but also to listen. This is one possibility. Certainly a lot of questions and comments and suggestions can come through email, especially during these times when we still can't be personally present to one another, right? Hopefully that's going to end soon, though.
Yeah, I think Father Cuddy told me there's going to be some celebrating on campus today. People might not have to wear masks as often or as frequently on campus. Is that true, Father Cuddy?
Yeah, that's true. The mask, certainly at least the outdoor mask mandate ended today when the CDC promulgated their guidance there. So I think there's a big flaming pile of used masks out on Slavin Lawn with PC students dancing around them to celebrate the ascension of the Lord, of course.
Of course.
Of course.
With the graduation around the corner, just for both of you, what kind of plans are underway right now that will remind the graduating seniors of how special Providence is and how to maintain the connection?
I'll take a stab. The ordinary things, of course, couldn't happen in the regular ways, and so there'll still be events for the seniors, but modified, and they'll be on campus, which is actually kind of a neat thing because this is something that Deirdre Driscoll's the director of college events, something that Deirdre and her team were trying to get out of the students. What are the things that you're looking for, and the extent to which we can provide them, we're going to provide them. And so many of the students who were responding didn't indicated that they weren't interested in going off campus, as so many of us did for commencement formals and things like that. They wanted to be able to spend more time on campus. Their thing is they wanted to do it together, which is one of the casualties of COVID, is not being able to be together in the same ways as we've grown accustomed to over the years. So there'll be events like that. We're doing our commencement on campus this year, but it'll still be we'll still be live. We'll still have a speaker and a procession, and so it's not ideal, but we'll have a good week.
Great, awesome.
Yeah, a couple of other things, Joe, too, that people might want to know, because COVID has affected everything. A lot of alums, at least younger alums, might remember that there was a senior dinner that also happened again, which was really great. Opportunity for seniors to kind of come together and celebrate socially their 4 years. Also, there was always a senior mass, and I remember that so well from my time here as chaplain, and that happened as well just last Sunday. And St. Dominic Chapel was really full of seniors and others who wanted to celebrate their contribution to the life of the campus over 4 years, and also celebrate their spiritual lives, especially to celebrate their spiritual lives and their relationship with God as they prepare to move forward. At commencement, I got to preach that Mass, the first time preaching to students since 2000, which was awesome. But so some things have continued on, even despite COVID, maybe in a slightly different form, but they're still happening.
Father Joe didn't know that there was a senior mass back in the day. This is all news to him. I don't even think he knew that where Aquinas Chapel was.
Well, okay, now that you see, people might actually believe that, and I'm here to tell you that is not true.
Yeah,
that Joey was always at the 10:30 Mass on Sunday night
on the front row if I can get there early enough.
Well, he wanted to be seen.
Yeah. Some people used to want to be seen and not necessarily want to be there for the whole thing. But I don't believe that Joe was the one I'm thinking of there.
I don't think so either.
No, Father B, those Sunday night masses were so memorable for us. Is there anything in particular that stood out to you? Was there a particular homily or an occasion that Aquinas Chapel that you really remember and you have fond memories of?
There's so many. I would say grotto masses were huge.
I was going to say that.
Yeah, they were huge experiences for me. Speaking for myself as chaplain, as a priest, I could still look out and see just that sea of students sitting on blankets on that hill leading down to the grotto. One of the most memorable experience was when it poured down rain during a grotto mass. And in fact, I discovered later on that it was the only place in Providence where it rained was right over the campus, right over Providence College during that time. I used to pray that it wouldn't rain. It poured down rain. And I remember not one student left. Not one student. Every single student sat there, started at the beginning of Mass. Every single student sat there until the end of the final hymn throughout the whole Mass. And that image and that memory really stays with me. It was that's a good thing. The other masses, Joe, just change channels a little bit here. We had a difficult 7 years when I was here, in that we lost a student every year, to some tragic death. And some of the most powerful experiences I had as chaplain were celebrating memorial masses here on campus for each of those students. And at each of those masses, massive numbers of students came. And those were powerful, powerful experiences of prayer and of the family community life here at Providence College.
That's great. One more just personal question so people get to know you before we move on to the next portion of tonight's webinar. Some of your favorite things. What are you watching right now? What are you listening to? What's been the best meal you've made recently?
Oh my gosh. You talking to me?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. What I've been doing, this is going to be depressing. I've been watching a lot of Cavaliers sports over the last 6 years. So I had to become a Virginia Cavaliers fan for a while. It was hard work for me, but I pulled it off. And now that I'm back here at Providence College, I don't have to do that anymore. All right, I can just go back to being myself, which is a friar, and so I'm happy about that. Still love to cook. Just made a nice bucatini amatriciana the other night for a couple of priests. That was awesome. I'd do that every night if I could. Yeah. Joe, come on up. I'll cook for you.
I'll be there.
Yeah. All right. So we'll work it out.
Wow.
It just real quick, Joe. I don't know what you're trying to pull or what you're suggesting here, but Father Barringer, he didn't say what's your favorite Bible verse, what charities and service opportunities have you been involved with? What are you watching on TV and what are you cooking? That's nice respect, Joe.
This is a get to know Father Barringer for those that.
Now that like musically that there's no Samson anymore, right? I still listen to their CD over and over again, just kind of remembering them. But nothing has really replaced all of that musically, like the 1030 Mass groups. Nothing's really replaced that. So that's been a big hole in my life. Hopefully that'll change now.
Mm-hmm. Well, for those of you that weren't lucky enough to have one of Father Barringer's meals on campus, I'm lucky enough that I lived in Detraglia with you and got to smell the sauce when I'd walk into the residence hall and just be able to knock on your door and see what was going on. And,
usually at dinner time, right? Yeah, he'd knock on my door at dinner time. Right.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah.
Oh, were you having
Italian
dinner?
boy
Oh,
that you are.
I didn't even realize you. No, I couldn't possibly stay. I don't want to. Okay, if you insist. That was the Joe Giovengo trick.
Well, I'm happy it brought me here tonight with you guys. Great.
Yeah.
Well, Why don't we welcome back Father Quigley and Father McPhail for the next portion of our webinar. Thank you, Father Barringer, and sit tight. We're going to have plenty more questions for you.
Sure.
Great. Hi, Father McPhail. How are you? You're just on mute, so we just need to unmute Father McPhail, please. Hi, Father Quigley. If you can just unmute Father Quigley.
Can you hear me?
There you go.
Yes, great. Welcome back to you both. Let's go in alphabetical order. Father McPhail, I'm going to ask you the question first. Both you and Father Quigley have worked in the chaplaincy program for quite some time. Can you tell us about some of the great relationships, the great experiences you've had at your time with the chaplaincy program at Providence College over the past few years?
I think that I put them in two categories. One would be the spiritual or the supernatural, and the other would be travel. Let me do the travel first, because it's been a very important thing, I thought, for the alumni to have a Dominican friar attend some of the regional events. Some of them are local, such as New London, Westerly. Some of them have been in Naples, Florida, Atlanta, Georgia, Charlotte, North Carolina, a couple even to London. And it's, I think, very important because it brings the college to that particular group of people. And it sort of builds up ties between the younger alumni and the older alumni, and maintaining that tie with the college. And along with that, some of the local things, such as attending the regional clubs when they're having welcome freshmen and people of that nature, that's been kind of a lot of fun to introduce yourself to 18-year-olds who are getting ready to come in. And oftentimes you meet their parents and you say, oh, I had them in class. Or they mentioned to me, you had me in class. And so it's kind of a nice feeling to do. And along with the supernatural, if I could begin on that again, Father Quigley and myself have been very good in getting petitions or prayers that alumni want to have for certain cause, for certain reasons, posted on our bulletin board in the priory. So there's 40 Dominicans praying for those petitions that they ask us to pray for. And also there's sort of a special one. For example, All Souls Day, the petitions or the prayers that alumni have sent in, they're placed on the altar in the priory chapel and stay there for quite a few days for the praying for the dead. And then special things, for example, the pandemic, there were a whole set of petitions placed on the altar that alumni had sent in to carry through during this particular time of year. So in a sense, the travel brings a mass and usually a brunch, and it's got a very warming effect. It's got the college there, it's got them in the midst, and they feel really that the college has come to them and they're still very part of the situation. And again, with the new students coming in, they get an initiation with the college and its Dominican heritage and its traditions. And then the thing of praying for people, the thing of petitions that they have, the thing that they can contact us at any time and they'll get a return almost immediately for us. However, I think supernaturally for me, the most important one has always been the memorial mass for the fire victims of Aquinas, of the Aquinas fire. It happened again in 1977, and there were a number of Dominicans involved in that. But as time has passed on, those Dominicans have met their creator, and there's only about a couple of us left that were here when that fire took place, and were part of the situation that took place immediately following the fire. And to be able to say Mass every year for that group of people brings back, it's a bittersweet thing, bitter because of what we're doing, because of what happened, but also sweet because it brings together all those people who really suffered and were impacted by the fire, and to get together 1 year and pray is kind of a very important thing for them, an important thing for me. Probably the nicest thing I have to do all year is that one Mass. I look forward to it, and it's making old acquaintances, making new friends, and really it's a special event for us.
Thank you, Father McPhail. You brought up how the Dominican family always is praying for the students and the alumni and the faculty of Providence. And when I was on campus, I used to go right in the book, in the chaplain, family members that are deceased. I know you would all pray for them. And more recently, you've used email to send out to the alumni saying, hey, let us know who you want us to pray for. And we'll put them in our intentions and our thoughts. And, I'd like to thank you for that, because I did take you guys up on it. And it meant a lot knowing that, everyone that I cared so deeply about at Providence College is praying for not only us, but our loved ones as well. So thank you for your service for so long, and for doing that up until, today and tomorrow and after that. So thank you. Father Quigley, I had a question for you. You've served the alumni community for such a long time. How have the needs of the community changed over the years?
You saved the hard question for me.
Father Cuddy, but I need to handle it.
Because as you know, Joe, the church today is different. Probably the fastest growing, in quotes, religion in the United States today is that of what they call the nuns. N-O-N-E-S, no religion. Many people will claim that they are spiritual, but they're not interested in institutional religion. And this includes certainly many of our alums. It includes many of our present students. So I think there's really, for us here at Providence College, student chaplains and alumni chaplains, a real challenge to evangelization, namely to effectively preach the gospel. And that's going to take energy, and it's going to take imagination. And in my opinion, it's going to take theology, the study of the faith. Two things that as alumni chaplain that I kind of tried to focus on would be trying to assist alums in the development of their spiritual lives. So I write generally a column for River and Eaton. I've given series of video homilies or quasi-homilies, quasi-classes. And in particular, I am concerned with trying to serve our alums in terms of their continued theological education. One thing that happens is that we will get individual phone calls from someone who is either questioning the faith or asking for spiritual direction. And that's one kind of minor thing that we do. But I think we have to, as alumni chaplains, become more serious about this theological education vis-a-vis our alums. And that can be done through things like this. It can be done through writings. I'm working on a project right now that, in fact, is almost complete, which is what I'm calling, after the example of Notre Dame University, Providence College Campus Pilgrimage. And it's examining 10 different spots on campus and then explaining the history or the theology that would be attached to those places. We've done a booklet with a collection of these columns that I had done on different theological topics. And we usually give that out at reunion weekend, or it can be downloaded. So those are sort of some of the things that I was interested in. We also formalized or structured more a consolation ministry. Father John Peterson was very, very dedicated to serving alums and many others in their time of need when they were facing sickness or death, consoling those in mourning. And so we have kind of structured how we serve alums at the time of death, at the time of sickness, and how we are to reach out to their families. So those are some of the things that come to mind.
Great.
I'm glad that we have another chaplain to work with us, because that's the way it was when I first came on board. Father Shanley asked me to help Father Peterson and Father McPhail. And I'm told that with this graduating class, there will now be 57,000 alums.
Wow.
So with 3 alumni chaplains, each of us can take care of 17,000.
Thank you for doing the math for me.
So, Joe.
That's great. I know that both of you have put a lot of miles on the car and comforted a lot of alumni, and we're certainly thankful for that. And it's great to connect with you both again, and thank you for all that you continue to do for Providence College. So thank you for joining us. At this point, I'd like to open up to any questions from those on the webinar tonight. They can be for Father Barranger, Father McPhail, Father Quigley, Father Cuddy, or myself. I know I received a lot of texts from the class of '98 saying hello to Father Cuddy and Father Barringer, and they're thankful that Father McPhail's, they're not in a position where Father McPhail would have to discipline them for anything. So if you want to absolve them of anything right now, Father McPhail, please feel free. I know Mike, my roommate Mike Law is on the call, and he was good while he was on campus. We don't have to worry about him. Can't speak for the others though.
Patrice Hughes.
And Patrice, she was an angel as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. Let's see. I'm going to open up the chat feature here. Father Barringer, I'll ask you another question. Some things around Rhode Island that you just can't get anywhere else.
Oh my gosh, all kinds of things. Well, first of all, there's like a pizza joint on every single street corner in Rhode Island, which I did not find in Virginia. There's New York systems, so they're like the wieners all the way. You can't get that anywhere. In fact, one of the first things I did when I came back to Providence was go there.
Nice.
And of course, a whole bunch of other stuff too. Yeah.
Great. Since the 90s, the campus has changed a lot. What was it like walking back on campus? Did you know how to drive in?
Yeah, I mean, fortunately, when I talk about feeling like I came home, there was a sense in which I also felt like I never left, because over the years, I've been back to campus countless times for provincial council meetings, assemblies of the Dominicans in our province, provincial chapters, all kinds of things like that. And so I've been able to keep up with the construction and to really see more gradually the development that has gone on in the campus, which is really incredible over the last 20 years. Yeah.
Awesome. Great. A question was submitted, Father McPhail or Father Quigley. I'll ask you this one. How has the pandemic brought us back to our roots? From a spiritual standpoint, from a, focus on the simpler things, and or just being at home and not worrying about being everywhere but home?
Well, that's a big question. People are wondering, for instance, will Catholic people come back to Mass and communion? Because for Many of them, they've been watching Mass on TV and watching Mass without communion. And will people be accustomed to that so that there may be, at least it's a question that people are wondering, how many will come back? There's another sort of downside to it all for parishes in terms of parish finances, which have been hit hard. Certainly, religious education in terms of children, will they learn the faith? Will their parents be able to teach them their faith? What has happened to CCD programs? What has usually Catholic grammar schools have stayed open and been in person teaching, and that would be a plus, but that really affects a small minority of Catholic children in the United States. I wonder myself in terms of the sort of understanding of the pandemic that people have. Do they see this in spiritual terms? They're certainly aware of the science, but has it provoked a deeper spiritual search for individuals? Obviously, it has for some individuals, but is that on a large scale? I'm not sure. Gotcha.
I can speak firsthand to being the CCD teacher, and it's not easy. That's for sure. But my daughter recently returned to full-time CCD, and she loves it. So I'm very thankful for that. But those are all very valid things that we're facing as Catholics and as parents. So we have a reunion coming up in about a month. Will you all be there to welcome the alumni back to campus?
Yes.
Yep.
Great, fantastic. I know many of our alumni are excited to come back to campus, and this will be an opportunity to probably be back there for the first time in the year. So be ready for elbow bumps or fist bumps or whatever is socially acceptable, because
no masks.
Everybody will be happy to be back. This was a really great night. Thank you all for allowing me to be with you and for saying hello to the Providence College alumni community. I hope you all remain safe, and I look forward to returning to campus to seeing you all, and looking forward to all that Providence College has to offer our alumni and our students and faculty and staff. So thank you, everyone.
Thank you for listening to the Providence College Podcast. Episodes are available in all of the usual places, as well as the college's YouTube channel and through your smart speaker. With producer Chris Judge, I'm Liz Kay. Until next time.